Hello, everyone. Before I begin, big thank you to John and the Ranger team, Nay, Axis, for putting this on. Just want to say my appreciation for bringing everyone together. It's really great. My name's Taylor. I'm the founder and CEO of Ontologize. Has anyone seen our YouTube videos, free tutorials? Cool, we just crossed 300,000 views, which like for enterprise software on YouTube is pretty darn good, I want to say. Anywho, I'm here today to spill some of our secrets. We've trained over 3,000 builders in the past 12 months across some of Palantir's biggest and smallest, oldest and newest customers, people who are brand new to the platform, people who have had 6 years experience, and they still learn stuff from our trainings. And that's the topic of this talk. Like, what can we share with all of you that you can bring back to your own organizations, whether you're a Palantir partner or a Palantir customer, and like get more people on board with the platform. Quick introduction. It's not just me, although I did join Palantir in 2014, before Foundry, certainly before AIP, and got to see a lot of it built. It's a bunch of us, former Palantir, forward deployed engineers who also love to teach. Before Palantir, I was a teacher. We've got some people who are on the developer relations team. One person who still holds the record for the most Stack Overflow questions answered about Palantir to this day. And we're the only Palantir training and assessment partner. We do training across the board, not just Foundry, not just AIP, also Gotham, typically Maven for anyone in the DoD world, and coming up soon, Palantir Edge, running the ontology at the edge, and Apollo. But okay, to frame the conversation here, I want to share my take on what is Palantir. Hopefully some of this is useful for you. Explain what the heck is this thing to your own colleagues and you know, people who are maybe considering getting this thing. Palantir spans a uniquely wide range of users. If you think about AWS, you really only have developers building on that thing. If you think about Workday, you really only have like end users. Actually, IT is going to configure that thing. With Palantir, like everyone is a developer. And as you've probably seen in Palantir's own verbiage, and I like this as well, that term doesn't really apply anymore because it implies you're going to code or implies a certain pedigree or whatever. You know, builder is a more generic term because everyone can contribute here. Everyone can construct something of value. And the reality is that all of us building on this platform, we're on both sides of this. Sometimes we're using something a colleague built, sometimes we are the builder. That makes this platform unique in the market. The breadth of people who are building on this is quite distinct. I like to imagine Palantir sitting halfway between AWS and SAP, and of course, I don't mean to pick on AWS or pick on SAP. These are just stand-ins for those categories. When we have cloud platforms, the hyperscalers, modular, developer-focused primitives, really low-level stuff, really great stuff, but it's mostly DIY everything. You're going to get the infrastructure, and you're going to build up something super custom. You know, this is the likes of which like Netflix is built on AWS. On the way other end, we've got packaged enterprise software. You think of like your ERP system, your SAP thing. These are mostly configurable, but generally don't support super flexible custom development efforts in-house. And I like to think of like Foundry as in the middle. It does have developer primitives. If you haven't checked those out, do check them out. And it does let you rapidly get to a point where people can like have operationally relevant use cases, again, in days and weeks, not months and years. It's the best of both worlds. And this Goldilocks position accomplishes a very specific thing. It increases speed to value. I'm not going to bore you with all the text on this slide. I'm sure they'll be shared with you. You're welcome to copy this as you find useful. But basically, cloud platform's fast to provision, slow to operation. You just have to build more stuff and deploy more stuff. Enterprise software, you know, the big stuff I'm talking about is like slow to start. It's like 18 months with a lot of services to get it rolling, and you're going to hit a ceiling, or you're going to have to like do things their way. And Palantir, it's fast to value, fast to deploy. It's going to keep accelerating if you build your ontology and let more people build on that thing. It's compounding value instead of hitting a ceiling. And so when someone asks me what is Palantir, you know, Palantir is the operational AI platform, and the implicit follow-up here is like, well, for whom? It's for enterprises that have outgrown that more rigid packaged enterprise software, but don't want to rebuild everything from scratch. I think it represents a new era of platforms we're building on. And just to throw out some others that we may be familiar with, people are using Supabase and Vercel and others like that rather than lower level stuff from AWS and Azure. That's like a newer level, newer era of platform as well. I'm not comparing Palantir to those. I'm just saying, hey, we're in a new era of thing. It's a different category than what we were used to. So Palantir isn't trying to be better enterprise software. It's not trying to be a better cloud platform. Modern enterprises with AI need something very, very different. And here's my decomp of it. I think this is like the one slide I would give someone who's like, what is Palantir? Just tell me in plain English at a high level. It's a secure platform for builders, not just developers. Everyone across your organization can build things. That's also rapidly adaptable. That's also highly interoperable. Open data formats, bring code in, take code out. It's an operational system of record. It's not analytics per se. It's not just analytics, rather. It's about workflow applications and operations. And it's a system of record. This is proven at massive scale in mission-critical situations. You can trust it to be your program of record for whatever the task at hand is. And it's tightly integrated with AI autonomy capabilities. We'll get into more of those in a bit. So that's what Palantir delivers, Foundry and AIP. That's my framing for everything comes after. Everything about training is with an eye toward that. I think this is a pretty uncontroversial claim to make here. The old ways of enterprise training and enablement don't work anymore. Did they ever? Who knows? What are customers buying when they buy Palantir? These are pulled from some of their investor presentations, from AIP cons, from whatever. At the VA, in weeks, they're accomplishing massive cost savings. People are talking about like a Palantir unit of time. People are talking about like, at Panasonic, what they used to take months to do, they can do it in 15 minutes now. There's a theme here. It's speed and adaptability. Time to value across a very wide range of use cases, very wide range of domains. Speed and adaptability gets you transformational outcomes today. That's Palantir's pitch. I think there's a lot of evidence supporting that pitch. But gets you transformational outcomes today if you have the skills. Whether you're a partner who wants to deliver this for your customers, or whether your customer wants to bring this in-house, you need the skills to do that. You need to be able to operate this thing like Palantir does themselves. So let me talk a bit more about how we do training. And I'm going to talk in terms of what we Ontologize do, but like I hope the implicit understanding among the room here is like, we do it and you can too. Let's break down to 3 simplified phases of training. There's hands-on skills. You need basic platform fluency. Whether you're a developer, you need to know how to use the code-based tools. If you're a business analyst, probably the no-code tools. Citizen developer, you're going to like bridge that between. Whatever is appropriate for your role, you need to be able to build basic stuff. And this is where we started out. We got a lot of traction, intense hands-on trainings. People got a lot of value. They came out of those trainings doing tremendously well. And we've evolved, in partnership with Palantir, into that middle one, the value orientation. So just being able to build things there isn't quite enough. It's not going to teach you how to build like Palantir's forward deployed engineers. They have a very distinct and useful culture inside there. And how do you pick out the best elements and embed them in your own organization? That's what this middle one is really about. And the last one is applied use cases. We want to treat this as an accelerator, and then you actually go build something that's production worthy. It's not just like these skills-based exercises that we give you. It's not just about practicing. There's no point in practicing for a challenge that will never come. So let's pull that forward. Let's get you something you actually have to deliver. You're on the hook for at your own organization. Those are the 3 phases of the training. That's how we think about the world. So real quick, hands-on skills enable everything else. We do this in-person or virtual, very intense, customized, hands-on training. We also have a self-serve learning portal that launched recently. It's 90 videos and about 30 hours of effort. It's the best intro to Palantir, end-to-end, get an AI workflow going, available out there. But this is really a prerequisite for the meat and potatoes, the value orientation. So we'll do a training, get people some skills, and then we'll adopt Palantir's levels framework. We're modifying it, but this is like a really simplified way of thinking about going through AI use cases. How do you accumulate the skills, and how do you apply them usefully in your organization to build AI-enabled solutions and use cases? bit more intelligible, though perhaps washed out depending on the screen here. 5 levels. They zero index it, but let's talk about level 1, data processing. That's getting data in, that's cleaning it, your typical ETL, data engineering stuff, though these days with AI, both using it to process your data in the context of data pipelines, classification, categorization, the vision models are the best thing for OCR these days, et cetera, et cetera. And within Palantir, it's like, you don't have to write code to do that, although you can. It's for everyone who can use Pipeline Builder. And so, like, basically, what took a PhD in natural language processing 5 years ago is accessible to literally everyone who can click a couple buttons in the platform. And that unlocks tremendous value within this data processing category. And the terminus of that is the ontology. You get your data into the ontology, either preparing it with AI, sometimes without, or preparing it for RAG, semantic search, things like that, so your embeddings, models, et cetera. Once you have the ontology, you can enable search and visualization. And think about this from a value perspective. I'll give an anecdote from a customer I once upon a time worked with at Palantir. This was it was a major railroad somewhere in the world, and they wanted some predictive maintenance model for like when there'd be like a crack in a wheel or a fault in some component that might cause a derailment. Just to clarify, derailment here is more like getting a flat tire. There's many more derailments than you're aware of, but there's just like, oops, it's off the track, not some catastrophic crash. And I was like, okay, well, like, do you know how many rail cars you have? No. Do you know how many wheels you have? No. Do you know how many bearings are on the cars? No. Okay, cool. Let's like slow down, do some data processing. Let's get you the ability to like search all the cars and search all the wheels, right? That alone, if you give that to the people in your maintenance yards, and they can sort by like the thing most recently maintained or the oldest thing, it's like that already is going to unlock a ton of value. And to categorize it in a slightly more abstract, generic way that you can use to assess and create different use cases, that's search and visualization. That's that level there. And these days, as we teach it, search is a chatbot. That's probably just the interface that you'll use most often. Not saying it's the only way of searching, and you should not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's more tried and true search methodologies here. It's not just semantic search, but like the interface these days, chatbot's a pretty good search interface. So we teach people to make their first AIP agent. And what that reinforces here, that all of you, again, can take back, is like, AI is not just chatbots. We're hitting that super early. There's a lot more to go, and that really opens people's eyes to, okay, cool. I'm not an AI user, I'm an AI builder. There's a lot more I have to learn here. Okay, decision guidance. This is the inflection point in our experience with bringing people through this framework. Basically, concretely, this is where they learn to make an AIP, an AIP logic function that gives a recommendation in some operational context. So, for example, you're in a factory, and you need to have the AI decide, do we send this product out, or do we send it back for a rework? Maybe there's some minor cosmetic blemish. It meets spec for functionality and safety, but there's some minor cosmetic blemish. What do we do? That thing can recommend a decision point. And it's like, okay, cool. How do I represent a decision in the ontology? Who's going to make the decision? You can really easily walk down the slope of like concretely what do I need to build to enable this decision guidance thing. And you can also ladder up from, okay, I have just a chatbot, but now I need to have it make recommendations to me. Great, I'm going to give it a function. I'm going to give it a tool that it can like proactively push things to me. So decision guidance is the next level in AI-enabled use case development. After that is AI feedback loops. I think one could go back in time a little bit to traditional ML models like predictive maintenance that you can retrain on new data on a fairly continuous basis, whether it's like daily or weekly or monthly or whatever. That's a great example of a feedback loop. But these days with AI, things are a little more challenging in 2 ways. One, because we're not really retraining these base foundation models. Maybe some people here are fine-tuning things, but in practice, we're not going to like retrain the model. We got to do something else to have feedback loops enabled and therefore improve how our enterprise works over time. And then 2, so many more people from so many more backgrounds are building with AIP logic and AIP agents that they're not really familiar with constructing systematic self-improving systems with feedback loops. So you have to like bring more people on board here. And again, just an example that we'll run through is like, cool, you were making that factory recommendation before. Let's take a look at the customer complaints and returns and refunds and all that other stuff, and use that to adjust autonomously the quality control guidelines that are used by that other AIP agent when it's making assessments there. And by stepping through this, people say, okay, cool, I see how we can have a feedback loop that's going to let our enterprise improve over time. I see how I can build one. And lastly is AI-driven automation. And in certain ways, like when you get to this point, it's like, it's both the coolest and least interesting because, okay, great, you've got all the building blocks to have some autonomous system, human in the loop, human out of the loop, whatever you prefer. But this is kind of, in some sense, the holy grail of what people really want to get to. So when people say, hey, I want some AI thing, some AI workflow, if they're past the chatbot phase, they're probably talking about AI automation. And whether it's educating them or internally scoping use cases or scoping use cases with a customer of yours, letting them ladder up through this framework is an extremely productive and, in fact, very efficient way of making progress against the ultimate goal rather than trying to leap to the end and have a lot of disappointment. So this is the cornerstone of what we're running with a variety of large organizations across Foundry's customer base for huge swaths of users. And I highly recommend it as a way of thinking about your own internal enablement efforts, working with customers, educating both your customer and your own people. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. Some just take-home practical lessons learned from training over 3,000 people in the last 12 months. Customize by default. So again, I'm going to talk in terms of what we do, but you can do this too. We don't have set curriculum. We have some good, no regrets default stuff if you're truly adrift, but we ask two questions, like what do you need to accomplish? What is your team on the hook to deliver in the next 3 to 6 months? They got to be under the gun for something. And where are they today? We'll bridge that gap. They could be totally new to Foundry and AIP and have no tech skills, not a problem. They could be pretty experienced with this. They could be like highly technical developers who are brand new to the platform. Whatever it is, that's how we think about customizing this. And by doing that, it's the maximally engaging, it's maximally valuable. There's a little bit more motivation there. People are going to learn this stuff better, and there's just like, it's a much more high energy type of training. You can do that too. Make sure that your stuff is customized by default. High bar, high trust. So we reject the soft bigotry of low expectations. Whether you come in as skilled in Palantir or a developer or not, it doesn't matter to us. We have a very high bar for what you're able to accomplish. Our trainings are a bit of a crucible. People tell us all the time this is the hardest learning experience they've done in their professional career. We're not masochists, we're incredibly supportive, but it is extremely challenging and difficult, and that induces a tremendous degree of pride in the people who go through our trainings. They see what they were able to accomplish, see what they were able to overcome, and see what they were able to build, and now this platform that is like seemingly enormous at the beginning and perhaps inscrutable if you're not already familiar with Palantir is something you're able to master and build with a tool in your tool belt, and that has knock-on effects for people's embrace of AI. They have a both tempered but ambitious view of what they can accomplish with AI capabilities because they can build with it. So have a very high bar. Don't sacrifice on your expectations for your people, and they will rise to the occasion. Train for value, not features. I can't tell you how many times we get a Word document with like, here are the features we want to cover in the training. We got to take a step back, say, we appreciate the homework you did, but like, we got to reframe it. What's the value you need to get out of this platform? This is true at a high level, it's true at a micro level. Whenever we teach some capability or some feature, it's like, what does this mean for you? What the skills you have, the role you're in, how is this expanding what your job responsibilities are, what you're capable of doing? Example, like data scientists are now able to do data engineering and application development. People who couldn't code before can now self-serve, make an end-to-end production workflow app, not just some read-only dashboard that is like mediocre analytics. Train for the value, not the features. Enable the leaf nodes. This is the hardest one and is most on the executives at customers. The people at the fringes of your organization doing the work have the most up-to-date and truest view of reality. They lack the strategic context, typically. So what you want to do is empower them with the ability to self-serve, build their own use cases, build on the platform, in conjunction with maybe your center of excellence or centralized tech team, but really maximally self-serve out there. But the builders need to connect the central strategic imperatives to the on-the-ground, the reality. You lack nuance when you go top-down, you lack context when you go bottom-up. And this is hard because so much of the culture of executive leadership is to view it from a command and control perspective rather than a servant leader perspective, enabling the leaf nodes. But you have a tech platform that preserves the security, preserves the governance, lets people use AI responsibly. You can give them a lot more freedom and a lot more trust, and you'll get a lot more value. Okay, immediate application. If you come to us without a use case in mind, you're not really ready for a training. Do it just in time. Make sure you have a reason, a thing you need to build. Otherwise, your skills will wither. You'll go through this great training with us or maybe internally. Your skills, you'll forget things. We try to make the most efficient, scoped down training as possible so that you can leave this and start building that use case. And look, once you have a foundation, once you build something, you'll be able to self-learn and continue your mastery of the platform on your own after that. So you really want to have a goal in mind that will be immediately something you work on after the training. Select for value orientation. Don't select by role. When you're thinking about who to train, who to assign to Palantir, you may be tempted to say, okay, cool, let's get these people from IT, let's get these people who went through some other training program for us, let's get these people in this department, whatever. And maybe that's fine for the first couple of use cases, but when you want scale, you want to have a different filter. You want to select for people who already have an eye for value. Forget what skills they have, forget what tech they already know, forget where they work or what their job title is, or what echelon of the organization they're at. Who has an eye for outcomes that matter to the organization and is hungry to deliver on that? That is the sort of person you want to enable and build a critical mass of within your organization. That will be the kernel of culture change vis-a-vis this AI platform. So select for people who have an eye for value and be agnostic to their tech skills. And then actually deploy your people. A lot of people do training, they'll have some engineers, and then the engineers will continue working as a cohesive team. Like, rule of thumb, they should be 80% deployed to the business users or wherever they need to assign. This is just like what Palantir does. And by deployed, I mean okay, if you're on some centralized tech team, well, you should have a desk next to the team you need to build an outcome, build a use case for, build a solution for. You should be not checking with them weekly, you should be checking with them multiple times a day. Make sure your people are deployed after doing a training, after getting the skills. That will let you get tremendous more value from the platform much faster. A lot of executives ask us, how do we get our people to work like Palantir's? This is one of the main missing links. They don't actually do this. And the payoff is a workforce actually equipped to make the most of AI. So just to recap, how to start. Pick your Vanguard builders, give them high-value use cases, or make them come to the table with high-value use cases. Embed them with the business, or again, those leaf node workers at your organization, and then hold them to account for the outcome. It needs to be actually deployed in production, creating value, increasing top line, improving bottom line, or accomplishing some other prime directive like patient safety or what have you. And what I'll leave you with before a couple questions is train once, transform forever. This talk was nothing more than teaching men to fish with some new slides and some new tech. Thank you.